Good morning, good morning, good morning. Heading into lunch, I want to take a little bit of time to go over our most recent city council meeting. A little bit late. It was from October 28th, 2025, 6 p.m. City Hall. We had a city council meeting. We had PVMA meeting as well as the hospital authority and ambulance district. And we had issues that we sort of went through on the agenda items. They've been posted a few days prior to. And remember, those meetings occur on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, usually posted by 5 p.m. on City Hall, as well as the Pauls Valley website, City of Pauls Valley website. You can definitely get on and discuss any kind of item following its posting. And you can obviously, be on the agenda for anything you want to talk about by just mentioning it to City Hall. So worth mentioning that as well. So let's kind of dive in. In the city council meeting, we approved the consent agenda, which is basically all the minutes from the various boards that we have in the city, as well as the previous minutes from the prior meeting. Approval of purchase orders to the tune of $105,000. There were no board appointments. And we went ahead and approved all of the council and committee meetings for 2026 that are associated with the city. And so all of that happened. We considered an ordinance change to update signage. There was just some discussion with some businesses in regards to the types of signage restrictions in commercial districts C2, C3, C4, C5, and C6. Basically limiting the height of billboards in these districts to a height of 35 feet. That way it's just well understood just because it was being asked, and that's sort of the standard that we've operated at for a long time, but it's just more of an official thing in the ordinance. There was a discussion in regards to installation of a 35-mile-per-hour speed sign on Airport Industrial Road. And this was in regard to the garbage trucks that kind of move up and down through there. And that was approved. We had discussion of a code enforcement issue at a property located at 100 Arrowhead, Building 500. If you sort of followed some of these things, this is a building or a set of buildings that has been under code enforcement for years. I mean, and literally saying years. About a month ago or a month before, we had met with both the manager, the contractor, and the assistant for the facility, basically saying, hey, code enforcement is sending this to us for demolition. It's unsafe. It's hazardous. It's been this way for a long period of time. We had asked them to do 30 days to start the project, 60 to complete. That has not occurred to this point. So I really feel like, and we were very clear that if they were to come back before us with the amount of years, and we're talking about 19, 20 years of this, various owners of the property, but this 19, 20 years of issues, that we would go ahead and allow for the code enforcement to do the things they need to do to remediate the property. And so we did ask, so it was a discussion, and we did ask for a certified letter to be sent to them to notify them of what I'm just now telling you. So it's no surprise to anyone. And so that was done. There was an official approval of a 2023 Dodge Charger to the current enterprise fleet and the amount of $36,000. This was already done. This is no additional monies in relation to 2025. It's an auditing step. And it's something that was not necessarily performed adequately at the time. And so addressing that in relation to things that were found through audit. Looking through, I don't believe we had an executive session. Trying to remember back to like a week ago. Moving down to city manager comments, he basically addressed 3 major leaks that had occurred in the city, one of which being a very large water leak coming from Longmire back toward the city. And so some discussion came from that in, some ideas for like equipment that we need. There's certain trailers that can't haul equipment to get out there when we do large repairs. And so instead of paying someone to do that, actually having that which can be used by the city. So no action taken with that, but there was certainly some discussion. And then during this meeting, we had talked about, yes, the next meeting is November 11th. It's a Tuesday at 6 p.m. It is Veterans Day, but we all agreed that, we're going to meet. We're here. Joe's here. Everyone's here. Even though the city may be closed down, we will still go ahead and meet for city council as proposed and already on the schedule. We closed out that meeting and we went into the PVMA meeting, Municipal Authority for Utilities and Associated Things. Approve the consent agenda for the meetings prior, approve POs in the tune of $261,000, approve the meetings for 2026. There was an executive session that we had, and possible action, that came from that was that we had looked to go ahead and consider looking at properties outside of city limits that we have that we're not doing anything with, and potentially, doing sale of said properties. And so that'll be information that will come up as we get to that point. We're sort of starting the process of investigating that. And then, there was also, ideas on potential uses for said properties if they weren't to be sold. No action beyond that than to allow Joe to initiate that process of, kind of seeing where we are with some acreages and some things. Some of the property was around Lake Longmire. This is an FYI. And so as we're thinking about that, that was basically all that came from PVMA. And we closed out that meeting and moved into Hospital Authority. As consideration of antenna, a repeater, duplexer associated, that used to be associated with the hospital, is no longer there. That has been surplus, not doing anything with it. City of Stratford, Town of Stratford could benefit from it. And so we're kind of asked, would it be okay for us to donate that to them? My questions were sort of like, well, hey, the city obviously has financial needs as well. Is there any tangible financial value that this set of equipment, the antenna, repeater, and duplexer would have? Was told that really no, there is no, and it's basically just removing it from us because we have no need for storage, and then allowing somebody that would be able to benefit from it. So there's really no. So we went ahead and approved that donation to the Town of Stratford. So that will be moving forward. Closed, and that was the only thing that was associated with Hospital Authority. And then we moved into the ambulance district, and basically the only thing that we did through that was the approval of POs to the tune of $9,700, and then approving the meeting schedule for 2026. And that was basically all that we had. Thinking about some of the financial things that are sort of going on, I'm looking at financial statements for September. Total revenues for September for general government, we're at $711,000 with expenditures. We had been about $130,000 in the previous 3 months. Fiscal periods for the city go from July 1st through June 30th of the next year. And so our revenues over expenses demonstrated, a budget balance for that 3-month period of $817. So we're in balance. One thing worth noting, though, is that we had an OMAG sort of thing associated with storm damage on repairs that we did, like a check for $96,000. I didn't see an expenditure line item associated with it. So sometimes it's an arbitrary, balancing. In the absence of that, we probably have a negative for the year of about $40K for general government. But again, much, much better than it's been the previous year, I would say. And so just an awareness to that. It may catch up with us as we go in to look at October financials with the actual expenditure related to that financial money. Revenue came in with the check for that, for the work to be done, and then that's going to be paid out in expenditures. So a little bit of an unusual reading on that. Looking through some of the governmental things, that was about the only thing that really jumped out. I think the idea that we're close to budget is good. I wouldn't say that we're completely there. If we're still, maybe 40K down, maybe that 10K a month, that we're not quite where we need to be. But overall, I think things are going fairly well. And still things we're trying to find efficiencies, find dollars, increase revenue. Obviously, I think I'm going to do a separate posting, either in video form or in a posting on my council page. in regards to some of the water rate stuff, lessons learned, where we are, maybe share some information on that. I don't want to do that specifically in this particular video, but everything else is pretty standard for that. PVMA, kind of looking at the financial breakdown for it. Basically, we had, let me make sure I'm in the right. Yeah. Period revenue for September was about $575,000, which is about, almost 8% of the annual budget. So a little bit below budget in regards to that. And so we have a little bit of excess in relation to year to date, about maybe 25K. It's not a massive amount from that perspective, but again, we're doing a little bit better in the PVA sense on the actual revenue versus expenditures. However, the things associated with DEQ for water plant and wastewater are fairly tremendous. Obviously, that's a discussion for the water rate increase. And so from that point of view, that small surplus does not address the overall needs. Hence the rate increase and some of the other things that we're sort of doing. Some notable things worth noting. Largest revenue source for the PVMA is actually water, to the tune of $104,000. And that's against expenditures at the water plant of about $111,000. So you lose about $7,000. Sanitation makes just a little bit of money in that regard. But again, most things with PVMA are almost a pass through if you do have any kind of surplus at all. So that's basically PVMA. We looked through some basic things with special funds, but there really wasn't anything spectacular in there. There wasn't anything worth talking about that you guys would want to know about. And that was basically what we did. The next meeting will be, I want to say November 11th, which I believe is next Tuesday, 6 p.m. At City Hall. Definitely encourage everyone to sort of attend. And we'll go ahead and shut down this podcast, YouTube Live, and I'll get this posted for everyone to sort of follow along with the things that are kind of going on. We'll post some additional information into, again, lessons learned with water rates, dissemination of information, some thoughts, maybe even share the actual breakdown of the water rates so people can kind of see that and the associated things that increased with the ordinance changes. So look forward to posting that, and you guys can see that here shortly. Hope you guys have a good Friday, and I will talk to you soon. Okay.